Hello and welcome to Under the Radar, where we dissect Western ideas and lifestyles. I'm Dustin of Cyclops, and today we're going to take a look at that great staple of American clothing, blue jeans. It's pretty likely that most of the people watching this episode own at least one pair, and its position in the cultural identity at large is irrefutable. But why are they so common? What meaning do we attach to them? And what does that have to do with class struggle? Let's start by taking a look at how blue jeans got their start. Jeans, as a fabric, likely began in the Italian city of Genoa, which was already famous for its corduroy. They were used by Genoese sailors as a method for covering and protecting goods on dock from adverse weather conditions, just general protection, what have you. As one might expect, this useful material was exported to other countries. In fact, the French word for Genoa, jean, may be the origin of the term that we use today. Meanwhile, in the French city of Nîmes, work was underway to reproduce the Genoese fabric, and while the French were unable to identically reproduce the fabric, their efforts resulted in the production of a similar and equally useful twill material that became known as denim, literally, denim. By the end of the 19th century, the jean material came to the U.S. Jeans as we know them today were produced by Jacob Davis and Levi Strauss in 1873. Now, their efforts were geared around shoring up the already extremely durable material around areas that were comparatively weak. As such, they used exposed rivets around the ends of the pockets and at the bottom of the zipper. And we still see that today in fashionable jeans. Early American jeans were sturdy pants used largely by factory workers. Due to the vast economic changes brought on by World War II, fewer jeans were being made for civilian use. However, a type of waist overall was used by the military. This garment was at times worn by servicemen when they were off duty, doing much to engender the casual/hard-working nature of the jeans to the public. In those early times, before they became a fashion staple, jeans were typically very loose-fitting, much like today's overalls. However, after they were popularized in the 50s, with no small thanks to James Dean in Rebel Without a Cause and similar cultural productions, jeans became fashionable and a symbol for youth rebellion. So strong was the relationship between jeans and youthful anti-establishmentarianism that jeans were sometimes outright banned in theaters, restaurants, and schools. By the 60s, the fervor of rebellion had died away and jeans became increasingly socially acceptable. And by the 70s, jeans had cemented their place as casual fashion in the U.S. So we can see how jeans have already challenged a great many social norms since their modern inception in the late 1800s. But what about now? How has the public perception of jeans changed since the 70s? Well, even today, jeans symbolize a casual approach, whether this is in the daily wear of the average person or in the presentation style of business casual. Interestingly, it is in this particular transmutation of the usage of jeans that we can see an interesting thing happening. As you already know, jeans have historically been a staple for the working class and the rebellious. Yet today, we see that jeans are being used by everyone, regardless of rank or title. Why is that important, you ask? Blurred class lines. Consider this. Jeans are still a staple for the working class and the rebellious. Even the poorest among us are likely to have a pair of jeans. They are still quite durable after all. However, jeans are also a staple for certain businessmen and politicians. Can you tell the difference between this person and this person? Symbolically speaking, the man in the suit radiates more power and prestige just by wearing the suit. He stands apart from the common man. Perhaps he even feels as though he might be better. Who can say? The other man, by virtue of his pseudo-casual attire, is making a statement that says, he is not all that different from you or I. He, too, is familiar with hard work, and his beliefs are, likely, similar to your own. This simple fashion choice has helped this man of power form a connection to the common man. It helps to bridge a potential gap. But make no mistake, this fellow is still in a position of authority. But it is with the jeans that he helps to make himself your neighbor. It is no mistake that so many of the powerful people in our country utilize this simple tool. Now, naturally, jeans are not some malicious attempt to warp your perception. It is just a natural evolution of the cultural use of jeans. Nevertheless, their use has cultural meaning that can be used to a person's advantage. Now, why would someone care to do that, you ask me? Throughout history, ruling classes that are seen as too far removed from the lower classes are liable to contend with uprisings. One particular example, At the time of the French Revolution, Louis XVI and Marie Antoinette were so far removed from the plight of their subjects that they were eventually executed by a very angry mob. It's not at all unreasonable to assume that had the ruling party in France made an extra attempt to relate to the lower classes, then the monarchy may have endured. While jeans are by no means some sort of great equalizer or even a brainwashing wonder fabric, they do serve as a symbolic bridge between everyone that wears them, regardless of class or power. We are alike, they say, even if position or beliefs say otherwise. Just something to think about. Thanks for watching.